Have you ever looked up at the moon and felt watched? What if I told you that what you see every night isn't just a rock, but possibly something far stranger? Not a conspiracy theory, not a sci-fi fantasy, but a possibility that some of the brightest minds have dared to whisper. The idea that the moon might be hollow, possibly artificial, and that its presence in our sky is no accident. Tonight, we're going to take a walk down the shadowy path of lunar anomalies, ancient legends and scientific riddles that just refuse to be explained. Buckle up, because this might just change how you look at the night sky. Let's begin with the basics. Mainstream science teaches that the moon was formed roughly 4.5 billion years ago from the debris of a cataclysmic impact between Earth and a Mars-sized body. Over time, gravity pulled that debris together into the celestial sphere we now call our moon. It's tidally locked to Earth, meaning we always see the same face, and is geologically inactive, made mostly of rock and dust. That's the story we've heard since childhood. Neat, predictable, finished, but reality, as it turns out, is rarely that tidy. Consider this. The moon is about 1/6 the size of Earth. That's abnormally large compared to other planetary moons. Its orbit is nearly perfectly circular. It creates perfect solar eclipses, something almost too precise to be coincidental. And its density? Suspiciously low. Some physicists have noted that these facts suggest a structure that's not entirely natural. In fact, it was during the Apollo missions that seismic sensors were placed on the moon's surface. When the stages of Apollo 12 and 13 crashed into the moon, it vibrated, and in the case of Apollo 13, for over 3 hours. NASA stated that this was due to the moon's dry, rigid structure, but others weren't so sure. Imagine dropping a boulder on solid ground. It thuds, maybe rumbles a bit. Now imagine dropping that same boulder on a massive metal tank. It would ring. That's exactly what seemed to happen on the moon. The reverberations suggested that the moon might not be solid all the way through. A few Soviet scientists in the 1970s even proposed a radical theory that the moon is hollow and possibly constructed. Sound outrageous? Sure. But let's take a closer look at what makes people consider this at all. In November 1969, the Apollo 12 mission completed its objective, and as part of an experiment, NASA deliberately crashed the lunar module's spent ascent stage into the surface. The impact occurred roughly 40 miles from where seismometers had been placed. What happened next was astonishing. The moon rang like a bell for nearly an hour. But it was Apollo 13's upper stage that made scientists' jaws drop. That impact caused reverberations lasting 3 hours and 20 minutes. Dr. Clive R. Neal, a geophysicist at the University of Notre Dame, reviewed the data years later and was still perplexed. He admitted the moon behaved in a way that is difficult to explain. What if I told you the moon might not have always been there? That idea isn't new. In fact, it's ancient. Cultures from across the world, with no contact between them, recorded myths and stories of a time when the sky had no moon. The Zulu people of South Africa have tales of two brothers who brought the moon here. The ancient Greeks spoke of Arcadia, a place that thrived in an age before the moon. The Sumerians, among the oldest known civilizations, referred to celestial shifts implying a sudden appearance of the moon. Coincidence? Possibly. But could they all be remembering some catastrophic celestial event, or the arrival of an object placed in orbit? In 1970, Soviet scientists Mikhail Vasin and Alexander Sherbakov wrote a paper in Sputnik magazine proposing the moon as an artificial satellite. They suggested it was a giant spaceship, covered in rock and metal. This wasn't some obscure blog post. This was published in a science magazine of the time. They pointed to evidence like unusually shallow craters indicating a hard surface beneath, strong titanium concentrations used in aerospace materials, the moon's consistent rotation. To them, these were not random anomalies. They were signs of engineering. During Apollo missions, astronauts occasionally reported strange experiences. There were moments of unexplained radio silence, where public transmissions cut out. Amateur radio operators at the time claimed to intercept mysterious communications, including phrases like, "They're watching us." Now this could all be rumor or interference, but the consistent pattern of lost signal over the far side of the moon led some to speculate whether something or someone didn't want us seeing too much. Let's suppose for a moment that the moon was placed here. Why? Some theorists suggest it may act as a stabilizer for Earth's climate. Others go further, proposing it's a surveillance post, always facing Earth, never blinking. It may even act as a control mechanism, influencing life subtly through tides, magnetic fields, and perhaps even more. Too speculative? Perhaps. But when something is this perfect, it's worth asking, is it by design? Freeman Dyson, a physicist, once imagined an advanced civilization building a Dyson sphere, a megastructure around a star to harness its energy. Some believe the moon might be a component of something similar. Others go further. What if the moon is an anchor for a simulated reality? A control node, a reset button, a cosmic mainframe? If so, what happens if it ever turns off? So where does that leave us? We have seismic data that defies explanation, myths that echo across time and continents, unusual density, strange orbits, perfect eclipses, and just enough mystery to keep us looking up. Here's the takeaway. It doesn't matter if the moon is natural, artificial, or somewhere in between. What matters is that we stay curious, that we don't stop asking questions just because the answers are uncomfortable. And the next time you look up at the moon, try not to blink first.